commercial aviation suite of planes. So, I'd be surprised. Of course, this is all initial speculation, but I'd be very surprised if wind didn't play a role, in this event. Because it just doesn't happen. We don't see planes inverted. This is not a Denzel Washington movie. So he made a movie where he actually needed extra airspeed, so he actually inverted the plane to get that airspeed, and he saved everybody. But it's, for a plane to go inverted like this upon landing, I can't think of any other reason it would actually do that. Actually, I'm thinking of the failure of landing gear or what, or I mean, I can't imagine Pilot Era in this situation other than he was really challenged by the wind.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking it up. It's so a Category 1 hurricane is sustained winds right around 74 miles per hour. So this is definitely tropical storm strength winds that we're talking about, Bobby. We want to bring in Colonel Ken Christian. He is retired from the Air Force. You've been a pilot with the Air Force. You work with NASA as well. You joined us in studio before. Ken, it's great to see you and hear you. What are your thoughts when you see this plane, again, upside down on a runway at Toronto's Pearson International Airport? What do you think happened?
It looks like they might experience a gear collapse if they had a high rate of descent, or one gear collapse and it exited the runway. If you have one gear collapse, you get a lot of drag on one side of the aircraft. The aircraft will depart laterally off the side of the runway, and then it goes into the dirt or the mud, and then you can have a plane that you can share a landing gear, you can share a wing, and that would give a good reason why the plane is upside down.
Yeah.
Good thing that all the fuel is carried in the wing, and by the wing leaving the airplane, also the fuel source or the source of fire also left. And so, but the fuselage seems to really be where the passenger compartment is. It looks to be in really good intact, and that bodes well for people getting out alive.
Ken, help me understand. You're honing in on the gear collapse, and help our viewers understand. Obviously, we see the front landing gear is intact there, but before the front of the plane actually touches the runway, obviously you have two more gears on the left and right hand side of the plane that touch first, and then the belly of the plane comes down with it. So obviously we can't see the landing gear in the back, but you're thinking that potentially something could have happened there, and why do you think that versus the wind, for example?
Well, the wind, it's too early, I don't have the wind direction, but the wind was coming right down let me just get rid of this, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, if the wind was coming right down the nose, then the wind really isn't an issue. If it was crosswind, then it could be an issue. If the plane descended rapidly and hit the runway rapidly, you could collapse the gear, and then you could shear off one gear or both gear, or they could collapse, and then the wing would hit the ground. And if you hook the wing on the right side of the airplane, the left side of the airplane, it could shear off, and then the fuselage would just, the passenger compartment would just continue down the runway until it came up, and that certainly looks like that could be probable. But again, this is all speculation at this point.
No, you're exactly right, and we want to make that very clear with our viewers. The NTSB will be there, and will have a seat at the table as their Canadian counterparts lead the investigation. Bobby, that's interesting because Ken is privy to a little bit more behind the scenes than we are in terms of the wind direction. You're looking at the plane inverted upside down right here on the runway. It looks like a crosswind here, but the reality is this is just where the plane ended up. So we don't know if it was dealing with a crosswind or a wind coming straight on.
That's right, and I would obviously defer to Ken and his expertise. And in this scenario, in thinking about it and listening to him, and it makes perfect sense. If that side landing gear did collapse, certainly you'd have the plane drop to that side rather quickly, and if the wing impacted the ground, that would help tear it off, and then you'd have the inversion of it. Like I said, it's just amazing that you know, the planes remained intact and slid in such a way that it remained intact. I think many years ago, Iowa City, there was a plane crash that the plane actually caught wing, like that on the wings when it went in that direction and stuff. I'm not sure what caused that particular crash, but I just remember.
As the brisk breeze continues, we're still watching Thursday. It's still a big weather headline just with that coastal storm. But yeah, indications as of today's trends are that it's not necessarily a huge snowmaker.
Fingers crossed.
If you love the snow, fingers crossed for that. I'm looking forward to the weekend where we finally moderate in temperature back to the upper 30s and see a little more sunshine.
Yeah, upper 30s, come on.
It has never felt more pleasant, or sounded more pleasant, right?
Thanks. Coming up on Eyewitness News First at 4, communicating with an accused killer. As Luigi Mangione prepares to return to court this week, he released a message to those writing him and sending him thousands of dollars.
The Vatican updates us on the Pope's current condition and the change in his treatment while he recovers in the hospital.
And when he asked for it, now it seems like Instagram is finally adding a dislike button. But there's a catch.
New York, thank you for making ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast, and honored with the Emmy Award, winner for Outstanding Live News Program on ABC7.
Do you or a loved one suffer from varicose veins, spider veins, leg pain or cramps, swollen legs, ulcers in the legs, or difficulty standing for a long period of time? Don't delay your visit to USA Vein Clinics. The treatment only takes 15 minutes and is covered by most insurance plans.
Off because the passenger compartment looks really intact. And, yeah, that's if anything perfect can happen from a disaster, this is it, because the wing carries all the fuel, and the fuel is where the fire happens. So it did not look like a fire ensued, and so the passengers were able to get out after the airplane came to a complete stop. So lucky for them.
Yeah, we've got about 4 minutes with you, gentlemen. Can you bring me back on camera, Stephen? I want an illustration that I want Ken to walk us through. So Ken, and I've been using my cell phone as my model this afternoon. You bring up a great point, because how many times do we get on airplanes and never think twice about landing gear? But how strong that landing gear has to be to absorb, right? We complain when we show up and it's like, oh, it's going to be an extra $25 because your bags are.
Up to $400 on Purple and more. Or choose interest-free financing with no fees and no minimum purchase for 36 or 48 months. And with free next-day mattress delivery, truly restful sleep is closer than you think. Don't miss these President's Day mattress deals at Raymore Flanagan.
Tobacco doesn't care about your tomorrow. Fight for your future. Quit smoking today. You can quit. Call 1-866-NY-QUITS. Eyewitness News needs your help to protect our children. Have you seen Samira? ABC7 thanks you for helping to protect our children.
Now to what is being called peace talks to end the war in Ukraine, only the negotiations do not include anyone from Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has arrived in Saudi Arabia to meet with top Russian officials tomorrow. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he was not invited to the table, and his country will not accept a deal if it did not help to negotiate. President Trump says Russia's President Vladimir Putin is ready for peace, but in a significant shift of U.S. support, the Trump administration insists an end to the war would require Ukraine to concede its land to Russia, a requirement pushed for by Russian President Putin.
To the latest on Pope Francis's condition, the Vatican says he's in stable condition, but his hospital stay has been extended because of his complex medical situation. The pontiff's drug therapy was adjusted after tests revealed that he was suffering a respiratory tract infection caused by multiple pathogens. The Vatican says the 88-year-old spent the day praying and reading and doing some work. It also says Pope Francis is touched by the many messages of affection and closeness he has received.
Meanwhile, Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, was among dozens of passengers on a United flight from Newark to Ireland that was diverted to Canada. The flight landed in Newfoundland last Thursday due to a passenger's medical emergency, but then severe weather and high winds kept the flight grounded for days. Cardinal Dolan made the most of it.
For everyone to get off. Ken, we got about 30 seconds left. Give me something real quick, what you'd be looking at as you start this investigation.
That you all have shown to us. I've learned that you're kind of used to it here in St. John's, Newfoundland, that this happens often, since this is kind of the last stop before a plane goes over the Atlantic. So thank you very much.
The Cardinal did eventually make it to Dublin, though his trip was cut short. He didn't get to visit with his former grade school teacher, who is now 100 years old and battling an illness. Cardinal Dolan is expected to return home to New York tomorrow.
Still to come here on Eyewitness News. First at 400s march through Union Square to protest the latest moves by the Trump administration.
The woman who filed a sexual assault lawsuit against Sean Combs and Jay-Z has dropped the suit.
And a new study shows that you don't need to be on a beach to feel better. All you need to do is to book the flight to improve your mood.
She had nothing positive to say about you.
That's orphan.
As prison could be her best bet.
After arrest and before trial comes jail. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.